Jim, our next question via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group was sent in by David Melendez. If Jim never left OVW, how do you think he would have handled CM Punk in OVW? Heyman didn't want to change his name and was constantly bugging the office about how great he was and didn't want Punk to end up like some of the other OVW alum. It ended up hurting Punk in the short term, but I'm wondering if Jim would have had an easier time communicating with the office, or if he would have been as frustrated as Heyman was. Punk in a recent interview said that he talked to Jim the week he went to OVW, and in a few days he had already been, well, it says here fired, but you weren't really, were you fired? Well, you weren't fired, you went home.
Well, I was fired from my WWF consultant position, but they could not fire me from my own company. But since my own company was still making money from the WWF, which theoretically I would get a piece of, I said, fuck it, I'm burnt. Fine. And I went home.
So how do you think, and it says here you called them up and you said you were looking forward to working with them. How do you think you would have handled the CM Punk at that point in 2006, 2007?
Well, again, I don't know because it's been 20 years ago, but I wasn't watching OVW television after I left, and many others weren't either. But I don't know what he was doing at that point in time. And see, that's the thing is say, would I have an easier time convincing the office of anything? No, obviously. And fuck, Paul had the same experience in terms of being frustrated, which is why he was on the outs and then back on the in and on the outs. Every time he got on the outs because he was frustrated. Maybe at some point they were listening to him at that particular time. But I don't know what I would have done with Punk. I didn't know in 2005 or 6 or whatever this was that CM Punk was a great promo because he'd never done television really. I don't know that I would have said, do we need to change your name? Because they ain't going to use it. Because they probably wouldn't have used it unless Heyman happened to win one. And he was, 25 years old then instead of 45. So I don't know what I would have done with Punk because I never got a chance to work with him the once to see what he was doing then and what I thought he should continue to do. And I know people are saying, well, you certainly saw him in Ring of Honor, 5 Ring of Honor shows, and it's a whole different environment. So you would have had to, that's why when guys came to OVW, unless I had really good prior knowledge of them, which wasn't often, they started in the program and they started doing dark matches or they started doing the spot shows so I could see what they were doing and I'd be around them and I'd see what they talked like and I would kind of get an idea of what their fucking deal was. So I didn't have, a giant Russian menace going out there in a fucking pink Minnie Mouse t-shirt or whatever, just incongruous shit. So I didn't really have the chance to do that with Punk because I was never around by the time he actually got here.
You didn't mention it during Raw. Did you see the Rusev promo video?
No, because I didn't. Because Raw is one of those shows where we have no on-screen fast forward, so I was trying to get through the commercials.